Good morning, everybody. Like many children in Eastern Kentucky, I was raised by my grandparents. I grew up making cornbread with my Memo, going on four-wheeler rides with my Puppo, and getting lectured in accents I couldn't quite understand. This was a joyous childhood, but it didn't teach me a lot about hygiene. I can't tell you how many times my Puppo went to the store and came back without toothpaste or pads because those were things they didn't need anymore. This caused me a lot of problems down the road with insecurity with hygiene. Unfortunately, as the years went on and my Puppo grew sicker and we lost jobs, the budget grew tighter. Now the things that I didn't always know to get were things I couldn't always afford. I know that this is a problem not isolated to me, but rather the community as a whole. This is something me and my team feel very strongly about, which is why we've come together to bring to you this presentation. My name is Kelly Mead, and I'm the leader.
My name is Hannah Thacker, and I'm co-leader.
My name is Kira Akers, and I'm the data analyst.
My name is Chase Shepard, and I'm the coordinator.
And we are
Back
to the basics.
It is a known fact that Eastern Kentucky suffers from poverty, with the national average income being around $80,000, with the Kentucky average being around $64,000. We are facing an economic crisis that is directly impacting the lives of our children. To set them up for success in life, we need to be able to ensure that we are providing them with the bare necessities. With the poverty rate so high, these kids are not being provided with those. They do not have access to things like transportation or utilities. Without these vital resources, children face substantial challenges thriving. At Back to the Basics, we believe the first step to setting up children for success is to set them up with basic hygiene, their basic dignity. So we propose a question to you. Do you believe that these kids within this community are getting the resources that they need? Because chances are they aren't. According to Governor Andy Beshear, more than 200,000 Kentucky families have little to no access to running water. Without running water or these necessities, how are our children supposed to feel confident in themselves? How are they supposed to thrive? Students often go without deodorant or shampoo or toothpaste, not because they don't care, but because they literally cannot afford it. So how can we ensure that they are getting these necessities? Even more so, how can we as a community, as a whole, ensure that they are getting the essentials they need to thrive in their everyday life?
When looking at the statistics from recent Kentucky studies, it is shown that the Kentucky poverty rate in Floyd County is at 26%, which is higher than the national average. Less than half of Kentucky's population has a certificate or degree, and the food insecurity rate is around 14%. 68% of Floyd County students qualify for free lunch. And you can only imagine how the recent tragic flooding escalated these rates. We, as a team, we made an anonymous survey to get feedback, firsthand accounts from our community and from our school. When asked if our students at our school would use the hygiene resources if provided, 35% said yes, and 41% said yes as long as it would be in private. When asked if a significant number of students do you believe have access to hygiene products, 71% said no. 71% of students also said that they had been bullied from bad hygiene habits. And they believe that 25 or less suffer from this lacking.
So, how do we solve this issue? It's simple. We start at school. As a nonprofit, we plan to reach out to as many donation centers as we can, like churches, and we are also interested in going for grants and such. With our teams like JAG and NHS and FBLA, which we'll get into more detail about later, we plan to set up a system where we can receive these items and dish them out accordingly. Our plan is, at Betsy Layne High School, we have a table in the foyer where children can drop off breakfast items, and that way, other children coming to first period that are hungry, they can just grab these and go. It's quick and it's efficient. We saw this as a team, and we thought, why not do this with hygiene products? With the items that we would receive through these donations, we would give it to the appropriate authorities like JAG and NHS, and they would disperse it onto these tables. This way, students could come by and grab these items. It'd be quick, it's efficient, there's no fuss, and there's no pressure. On these tables, we would also include some prepackaged hygiene kits, which you will see on your tables. Just one example of a prepackaged hygiene kit would include toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, shampoo, soap, a comb or a hairbrush, and or pads. The estimated cost of all this is around $14. However, we understand that not everybody is going to be comfortable with that. There is unfortunately a lot of stigma around cleanliness, so we would like to offer it a more private route. We would also like to adequately supply teachers with these resources. This way, a student could confront a teacher in private and still get these resources. It's just as efficient, but it's more private and it allows for a more comfortable avenue. But what if kids want something that isn't on the table? What if they want something specific from a certain teacher? Well,
as a nonprofit, we have to focus most of our time and energy towards serving our community as we swore to do. Using a website ensures that we are gathering information correctly, timely, and privately. Here pictured is our team's QR code. Scanning this QR code will take you to a place where students are asked a series of questions regarding products they may need or certain teachers they would feel comfortable speaking with. Utilizing an already established platform means that we have more time to focus towards our community rather than towards upkeep towards a website, and ensures that people using the form already have a familiarity with it as it's utilized in most classrooms.
At Back to the Basics, we understand that one of the most fundamental aspects of running a successful business is good communication. This is why we plan to access multiple avenues of communication. First, we'd like to start at school. We plan as a team on hanging around posters and flyers around the hallways. This way, students can go by and see who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. We also would like to utilize the school intercom and make announcements in the morning and evening so we can reach as many students as possible. Finally, at the school level, as my partner has already stated, we would like to hang up QR codes that would lead them to a site where they can request specific items from specific teachers, as well as other information. Branching out into the community, we would like to partner with local news stations or newspapers or radio outlets. This way we can get familiar with the community and get the word to a broader array of people. We'd also love to partner more with churches and local businesses. This way we could do maybe partnerships where it's a win-win situation, but the word still gets spread even more. Finally, we are all teenagers. We all have phones. We plan on using social media proactively and making posts about Back to the Basics on apps like Facebook and TikTok.
In this project, we understand that teamwork makes the dream work. We plan to utilize as many groups, clubs, and resources that our community can offer. For example, we know that Back to the Basics is a program that is going to need a lot of upkeep and check-ins even after we have all graduated. And we personally can't think of any better group to do that than our JAG team. In JAG, you have to meet a certain number of volunteer hours in order to graduate. By implementing JAG into this program, we open up a door for them to get these hours as well as serving their community. Other groups that we are part of, such as NHS and FBLA, could do donations and fundraisers and help aid their community as well. We'd also like to reach out to churches. Maybe we can work with them, offer them resources, and they can offer us resources. We are in works with the Christian Appalachian Project. Another neat way, we believe, to help to gather other people is to work with colleges. Certain majors, such as social work, have to have so many hours. And since most social workers end up working in a school setting anyways, this is a great way to make them familiar.
So how exactly does all of this help? As you could figure, poor hygiene can be detrimental to somebody's mental health. They might, and it's especially bad for students. They might start to neglect their grades, they might miss school, they might be bullied, they might become isolated from their peers. And not only will poor hygiene affect somebody's mental health, it'll also affect their physical health. Hygiene is very obviously connected to a person's health and immunity. So by setting up our hygiene stations, we're able to help a help make a much healthier school?
These are just a few students that we have managed to help at Betsy Layne High School with our basic Back to the Basics program. So what does the future hold? Well, I'll tell you this much. Back to the Basics isn't done. First, we would like to focus on making sure our own school is adequately supplied by giving this to teachers and placing the table on the foyer and making sure that we broaden our horizons with hygienic items. Once we are finished there, we would like to stem out to the elementary school and make sure that things are suited out there. Once then, we would like to step back and go to all the schools in our county. Then we would like to target neighboring counties, especially the ones that are even more underprivileged than ourselves. In the end, we would like to outreach our program to the whole state of Kentucky. As this project grows, so will we. We understand that while hygiene is the name of our game, kids need more basic necessities than just soap and deodorant. Eventually, we would love to give kids more essential items like healthier food products or clothing items. And we would also like to make a bigger website that details who we are, testimonials, statistics, and contact information. In the end, while our pros may seem simple, it stands far beyond us. When we set our kids up for success in Eastern Appalachia, who knows where we can go.
Thank you for your consideration.
We're welcome to any questions.
Really good job. It's super compelling that you found something that relates to you, that you can like solve and have an immediate impact on. You're doing data collection and testing the market and already making an impact. So that's super great. I was just curious, like on the data collection side, how many people did you have fill out that form?
It was around 30 to 40. I don't know the exact number, but I know it personally came from our schools and then people from other schools. I know we had a couple that participated from Pike Central and Pikeville. I had some people from my church that worked in the school system to see if they've seen anything personally like bullying or anything.
Mm-hmm. And this is just a comment because I know that you sort of brought up the idea of our region kind of like suffering from poverty, right?
Yes.
And thinking about this as a nonprofit model, like clearly you have a compelling idea, like I'm captivated by it. You're already actually doing something about it, which is, great. So I could see other people getting behind that. And so I wouldn't just forget about like the social entrepreneurship model where you could do a 1-for-1 and, sell this for $40 to somebody in the city, give one away, keep 12 for your business and keep growing it so you can have more impact. Because I think like that's another way that we can lift ourselves like out of the social conditions that we're in, right?
Yeah.
Like a nonprofit can have a ton of impact still, but if you can build wealth, you can have even more impact, I think. So just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I just want to say that I'm impressed with your professionalism and your consideration of, preparing materials for it. I also really love that you chose a topic that is very respectful of your classmates. You are tackling something that's very taboo, and you've done it in a very dignified way. And I think that comes across. And I think it comes across in the feedback that you were able to get in your survey as well. Also really appreciate that you found very workable solutions that you've already been able to implement, and that you have considered, including multiple partners, both within your school, the community, and I think that's really important for the sustainability piece, and that you are also considering how it goes forward after you all graduate. That's very important. So I don't have questions, just wanted to share that.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
I thought it was a vibrant presentation and important need, so thank you. Highly professional. I'm curious, though, about the bullying aspect. Could you enlighten me? What is that about? I don't understand.
Well, we see with a lot of students in our school that some of them are unfortunately bullied because of their, they might not have access at home, so they don't smell the best at school, or they don't have access to deodorant and such, or they have more raggedy clothes, for example, or their hair is unkempt. And so unfortunately, kids are kind of mean in that aspect. So if we tackle a lot of these issues that might, these stem from, we feel that bullying could also be impacted in a positive way.
And is there any way to address the bullies?
Of course. I mean, with things like this, we also want to foster a positive community where people can come to us and, just because, like, the reason these bullying are happening, that doesn't make it okay. So we want it to be a safe space where people can report these things and they can be dealt with the proper authorities at our school.
Thank you.
You all did a wonderful job. I will say I really like that you have experienced this and you shared that. That gives you, a good outlook that you can share.
Thank you.
The only thing I have, and it's a question, like how is your all's resource centers handling this stuff currently?
We have I believe, a very amazing resource center. If you go in there, they can help you with certain things, but again, we come from a impoverished region. Most of their stuff is coming from donations from parents who happen to be a little bit more well off. So while they can impact a small number of students, we have a whole school that could need these resources. There's only so much that they can do without somebody's help.
Right, and that's a question because I don't know the services they provide. The other thing on your website, I know that you spoke about being able to offer things that maybe aren't in the package that you have. What's the process for that?
On the website, there's like a drop-down box for teachers that you would like to speak to. There's multiple choices. But then there at the end, there's a short answer box. If there is something that you need that we are not offering on the table, that was not in the original drop-down box, you can request it, and you can request a teacher that you would feel comfortable asking for it or speaking to. And then our team will look at your answer, and then we will try our best with the help of our community, the help of our donors, to provide you with whatever it is that you needed specifically.
Thank you.
I want to congratulate you as well. I thought it was a good presentation. I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to share with you that another resource that you might have is local civic organizations. I'm a member of the Pikeville Rotary Club, and we're always doing things like this, backpack programs and different things. So that would be a good resource for you to members bring in and donate. You give them a list of items that you need, and we do that often for different things for nursing homes and different organizations. So just to share that as a resource for you to pull from.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, you're going to give me your mic.
It's already on.
Okay, I have a lot of questions actually, so I think I'm a little different from the other judges because you tapped into a bunch of different things that I have going on. One, I grew up poor. Most people don't know that. I'm not from Kentucky, but I still grew up poor. I am a psychologist, so I know I have a class here on campus called Fear and Aggression, where I address bullying in the workplace. So that's another thing that I have in common with your presentation. And I also had a group of students on campus who did this exact project for the homeless. And we donated 50 or 60 hygiene packets to the homeless shelter in town. A couple of questions I had based on your presentation. I love the idea, obviously, because of all the background I have here. Are you only putting these packets in schools?
For now, that is the plan. Of course, as the future goes on, we may branch out. We are open to that, but for now, it is just for the schools.
Because I'm also aware there's a high dropout rate of students dropping out of high school.
Yes.
So I was wondering why you wouldn't partner not just partner with churches to get these available, but to get donations, but why wouldn't you make them available in the churches where churches tend to be, where people go for support, both emotionally and spiritually, and sometimes just for general help? You might want to make them available there as well. Do you make male packets versus female packets?
Yes, when you go to our website, there is or our Google form, I should say, there is a part where you can answer if you are male, female, if you would prefer not to say, and if you click female and you want the bag, we will obviously provide menstrual products.
I had a question about your advertising, because I'm also a psychologist on top of all this stuff. And you talked about wanting to make this less embarrassing for students because they might be ashamed of being poor. I know when I was a kid, I was very ashamed of it because I didn't have the right clothes and I didn't have food. I had all kinds of problems when I was young, and I was made fun of a lot. There's a lot of advertising that you're speaking of doing. Is that just to raise donations, or is that to raise awareness for the students?
I feel it could work both ways. Obviously, as of right now, our main target is making sure that we get these donations so that we can help people in general, but definitely to raise awareness, because the more people that know about it, the more people can look inside themselves and find the relatability in it all.
Okay. Because you have to walk this fine line with students that if it feels like there's too much advertising directed at them being poor, that it might augment the embarrassment rather than making them feel safer with it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So being careful with your marketing, on who you're targeting with your marketing, would be really important. And the other question I had is, have you guys figured out how much it costs as far as how much how many people you're serving each year?
That is a good question. We've not quite figured that out yet, and we are doing ongoing research. But with our package, where we estimated the cost to be around $14, there are kind of yearly goals where we'd like to help, like for example, this year, like at least 100 students. So, we also have to take into account like donations and how that will affect it. But, all in total, it's just something that we are continuously working on.
Because that might impact how much you need to fundraise, because I would encourage you, have you guys tried GoFundMe or any of those things where you're targeting specific fundraising amounts that would help you make this more sustainable
That is
beyond
definitely something we
donations?
need to do, in the
Okay.
future.
Because getting a better idea of numbers and how your quantities and what you need and what your population, how big that population is that you're serving, will give you a better idea of sustainability long term.
Of course.
And that might be something you want to look into. I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
you.
Yeah, and I just want to compliment what Professor Johnston said. And so I'm thinking of Reverend Jesse Jackson died recently, but one of his he also went beyond just addressing poverty, but I think the psychological dimension. And so one of his mantras was, "I may be poor," and then people would respond, "I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody." So this is something you might want to consider in a value added to this service, that I am somebody.
Of course.
Of course.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.